So this will stay. Come on, work with me here. Ah, work with me here. Work with me, please. Oh my god. It's because I have my case on. La 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 da 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 da. Hello. If you can't hear me or if I'm too quiet, please let me know. Hi hi. Huzzah. Hi. How's everyone doing? Lower this a teeny tiny bit. Yeah, you're back. Yep. Heard you loud and clear. Perfect. Hey. I can hear you fine. Great. Doing good. Nice setups. Thank you. I will have an official tour. The hopeful put out day for the tour is Monday. So we'll have to just wait and see though. I thought these would only take me a few days. They've taken me a month, so. Hello from Leanna's twins owner. Hello. Just popping in to say hi. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for being here, even if it's for a brief period of time. How's everyone doing today? What's everyone doing today? Oh, goodbye, Jackson. Just left me. See, there he goes. Goodbye. Make sure to like. Yes, make sure to like this live stream. I'm terrible at asking people to like, sub, and hit the notification bell at the beginning of videos. And most people don't stay till the end, and that's when I ask. So, I'm not great at this YouTube thing. I'm trying to see around if there's any leopard geckos that are awake. There's a glare, so it's hard to see. Doing my master herpetologist classes. Oh, really? I thought those just ended. Did they start a new one? What time is it there? Because here it's 10 p.m. I don't know because I can't check my phone, but it's like 4 or 5 o'clock. Let's see if anybody's awake. Marcella is mad that I woke her. They started a new one about 2 weeks ago. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I know that like one of them just ended. I'm sick at home waiting for my COVID. Oh no, thank you for being a wholesome distraction. I really hope you're okay. I really hope it's not COVID. I hope it's something else and a lot less scary than COVID. And if it is COVID, I hope that it goes by fast, and that's unfortunate. We've had a couple COVID scares because Aaron's at work, right? Like, he's still at work and has to leave the house to go to work. So we've had a couple COVID scares, but he's been negative both times. It's 10 p.m. here in the UK. I was just about to head to bed. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, thank you for being here. Make sure you go get your sleep. I don't want to rob anyone of sleep. Sleep is very important. Yay to UK people. I like UK people. I have a group of friends that I chat with every Sunday on Zoom. A bunch of like people in the pet community I've been friends with for a few years. And we have Sunday Zoom chats, and a lot of them are people from the UK. In fact, I'm the only one in the US, and then there's a couple Canadians, and the rest are UK. I'm trying to see if anybody's awake so I can get them out. I don't see anybody. Hello. Does anybody have any questions or any requests? How do I convince my mom to let me get a Leo? I think that it's probably best to respect your mother's wishes. She probably has a good reason for not wanting you to have one. But if you are hell-bent on getting one, what you can do is write out like an essay and say like, this is how I need to care for them, this is how I'm going to be responsible for them, not just like responsible for like their husbandry, but also responsible for them financially. If anything happens, I'll do this to pay for it, or I'll do these chores so that you can pay for it. I don't know how your situation works, so that's why I say it like that. But just prove that you're going to be responsible, and see like if that helps change your parents' mind. It might not. A lot of parents don't want animals in their house, especially weird ones like reptiles or whatever. So it might not change her mind at all, but how's Jamie doing? Jamie's doing well. I'm trying to get Jamie to eat something other than just dubia roaches, but he's a picky little baby, so has declined tiny hornworms, mealworms, and waxworms. Has declined everything except dubia roaches, so. How do you make a gecko tank look prettier? It has everything it needs, it just looks kind of bland. Okay, so there's some examples behind me. Let me scoot a little bit. Scoot back some. Okay, so we'll open, this is Arya's. Can you guys see? This is not Arya, this is Amy. So there's cork all around the back. There's a really big piece of driftwood that goes up, it makes like a curve, as you can see here. She's got some ground plants. She has some succulents and some succulents mounted to wood. So this is more of like an arid or like a desert themed type of enclosure. And then there's also, I don't want to take the thing off because I had a hard time getting it on, but what I can do is I will lower the camera, so give me a second. So then you can have enclosures that aren't really arid in appearance. I don't know why I have to do sound effects. Anyways, so here you can see there's like a fern. Whoa, there's a fern, and there's a bunch of plants in the background that are hanging plants. There's a bunch of cork in here. Some of my enclosures have really big pieces of driftwood. Some have like slate tile, or not tile, but like rock. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it back up now. Here I am. Okay, so you can choose plants that are gonna sit on the ground, plants that are gonna hang. You can have cork bark, you can have substrate, you can have driftwood, you can have like rocks, you can have DIY backgrounds, you can have pre-made backgrounds, you can have all kinds of stuff, really. There's tons of options. It just depends like what you want to go with, what you already have. I hope that helps. I'll put some slate in my gecko's enclosure. No, you don't need to trim a leopard gecko's nails. How long does it take you to clean your Leo tanks? Do you swap items out? I keep the same items, and leopard geckos are really clean and they poop in the same spot every time, so I'll just clean that spot or just clean that item. Those look gorgeous. Thank you. I'm starting to get really happy with them. I ordered, okay, so do you see these post-it notes? This one's actually for this enclosure, but I moved it because I wanted my head to block it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 enclosures that have post-it notes on them. And the post-it notes denote that I am not happy with this enclosure and I would like to have some changes made to this enclosure still. And for that reason, I am finally on my last round of buying decor for the time being. I have to buy more driftwood in the future for a couple enclosures. However, I'm waiting until my garter snake enclosure, my white tree frog enclosure, those enclosures that are going to stack over here, I'm waiting for them to be made so I can pick them up. And then, well, first of all, I have to pay for them still. Then I have to wait for them to be made. Then I have to pick them up. And then I have to, you know, put them on this side of the room. And then I'll do my manzanita order then. That way I can get all my wood at once. But I have a lot of enclosures that need driftwood on this side, still like the garter snakes and the white tree frogs. So I figure I'll just wait to order the driftwood until then. Because I'm going to need just a couple pieces for the Leo enclosures. Because there's tons of driftwood already in them. But there's a couple pieces, or a couple enclosures that need driftwood still. But they're fine for the time being, and I'm getting really tired of working on them. It's been a month, so I'll just add the couple pieces of driftwood that I need later. What is your D3 supplementation schedule for your Leos? So I have Repashy Calcium Plus, which is D3 and a multivitamin, and then I have calcium carbonate, which is just calcium. And they have calcium carbonate in small dishes in the enclosures, but I also dust their food with calcium carbonate, and then I'll dust their food on the next time with calcium or Pashi Plus. And then I'll do a rotational cycle. If I'm feeding them something like a hornworm, they don't eat. There's no calcium on that because they're full of calcium. But on everything else, they'll get dusted one or the other. I hope that answers your question. It's pretty much just a rotational schedule. Some people just mix the calcium plus D3 with the regular calcium and offer that every single time, so it's like a small combination of each, but I just do a rotational. I was wondering if you know what respiratory infections look like in leopard geckos. I do, and that is because my gecko Benjamin is susceptible to them. So it's basically, you're going to notice that they have a clicking noise in their throat, and a lot of times you'll notice this like when you go to feed them, they can make like a clicking noise. And then also if you open their mouth or look inside their mouth, there'll be extra saliva. You may also notice them opening their mouth and holding it open because like they're not getting enough air, so it's called gaping mouth. You may also notice that their breathing is labored or is just different than normal. But I've never had one get bad enough to the point where they gape or there's a lot of extra saliva. For Benjamin, it's just been noticing that he's making a clicking noise, and he's susceptible to them because of how Benjamin is. So he's had 2 in his life, and they've both been treated with antibiotics, and also you can treat them with an increase in heat and a cleansing of the enclosure. Benjamin's just susceptible to them because of the way Benjamin is shaped. I think it's because he has that underbite and then a really flat skull. I think that he just must have something kind of off, and he's more susceptible to them for that reason. Because none of the other geckos have ever had a respiratory infection, just Benjamin, and their care is like the same. So, but yeah, if you are worried about it, it could be that your enclosures is too dirty. Typically, dirty conditions are what's going to lead to an infection. It could be the humidity is too high. Consistently, like once or twice having it too high is not going to cause an issue unless your enclosure is like really dirty. A dirty humid hide, dirty water dish. Is a Toki gecko a good pet? Some people would say yes and some people would say no. It really depends on what your definition of a good pet is, and how much you're willing to work with the Toki, because they're known for being quite aggressive and hard to handle and bitey and loud. Have you ever had your mealworm pupa start turning black instead of hatching? It can sometimes happen because they die, but most of the time mine have turned into, most of the time mine have just pupated all the way to beetles. One of my rescues leaves its mouth slightly ajar but not gaping. I can't tell if his jaw is weak, some severe MBD, or infection. Okay, so having a mouth slight open, it could be an abscess in the mouth, it could be mouth rot, it could be something wrong with the throat, like they could be choking, but if it's all the time, it's probably not choking. I recommend a vet visit, obviously, but it could be a number of things, and getting a vet in there to see the mouth, that's really going to be helpful for you. My bearded dragon, I took her to the vet this time last year because she kept opening her mouth and just leaving it open like this. Just a tiny bit. Like that. And I was having like all the struggles with Benjamin having his RI last year, so I was like, oh my god, it's an RI, and it wasn't at all. The vet just said she had slight irritation on her gums, and we're not sure what caused it, so she just gets weekly teeth brushings, and she hasn't done it since. So it's possible that you could have some sort of gum irritation, although leopard gecko teeth and bearded dragon teeth and their diet is quite different, so I'm not 100% sure, but anything's possible. Definitely ask a vet and they'll check it out. What should you do if your leopard gecko doesn't eat crickets? Try offering dubia roaches or try offering mealworms. Hey Jessica, how are you doing? How are the love of my life, Jojen, Benjamin, and Merlin? So hi, I'm doing well. How are you? Benjamin, I actually was just talking about Benjamin, how he had problems with respiratory infection. That's like a chronic thing for him. He gets them every so often. He's had 2 in the last year, both treated by antibiotics and just like quarantine type of husbandry, but he's doing great. He's in his new enclosure right now, and he's eating well, and he's enjoying the new space. And Benjamin has, I'm sure you know because you love Benjamin, but he has that way of like slither walking, you know, he kind of like slides along the ground, he like slithers, and he's doing that a lot in this new enclosure because there's a lot more floor space, so he's really enjoying himself. Jojen, I tried giving Jojen substrate and it didn't go well. Jojen has a neurological disorder called white and yellow syndrome. And I wanted to give him substrate. I gave substrate to 3 geckos that couldn't have it, but I wanted to try it, you know, to see if they could do it. And Jojen was one of them, and it just didn't work out for him. But he did still get an upgrade, so he went into a 33-gallon equivalent, and he's enjoying the space because he's a big guy. And then Merlin is nuts in his new enclosure. I mean, he's like a wild animal in that enclosure. He's always like hiding in the, hold on, I'm gonna close this window. Sorry, the neighbor started mowing and I didn't want the noise. So anyways, so Merlin, he's really, really funny about his new enclosure, and he'll like hide in the shadows and then like run out really fast when he sees me, and he's just, all of his like little wild instincts. Josh's Frogs versus Biodude. So I guess it's fair to say before I give my opinion that I have a discount code with Josh's Frogs. I don't make any money through them. It's only a one-time use discount code. Like for 15% off, so I can't even use it because I've used it already. But I should of course say that I have worked with the company, and I like a lot of their products. I have bought so many things from Josh's Frogs. I personally have only bought substrate from the Biodude before, and I haven't been too thrilled with the substrate. I like Terra Sahara. That's my favorite substrate they offer, but I like it sifted because they have like huge rocks in it, and I just find that really unnecessary. So I sift it and take out the substrate that I want and then leave like rocks and clumps of weird stuff behind, which is probably fine if you have a larger lizard that you're using it for, but I didn't feel safe using something that had like bits that a leopard gecko might accidentally swallow. And then their terra firma is not my favorite, but it's okay. That's all I've tried from them before though, as far as I can remember. As for Josh's Frogs, I've purchased enclosures, I've purchased plants, so I think because I've had like I've purchased a lot from Josh's Frogs now that I think about it. But I think because I've worked with them, and also because like I have ordered so much from them before, I have to go with Josh's Frogs just because I'm more familiar with them. But the Biodude seems like a fine company, and if you can find certain things that you like better on one or the other, I just say shop at both of them, because I think that like if you're looking for a handmade type of substrate that's like for arid species, I don't think Josh's Frogs offers anything like that for arid species. But if you're looking for that, like, then you can find that at the Biodude. So I think it's good to check out both and to offer your patronage to both. My gecko is always glass surfing and he hates being handled. Is it possible that the enclosure is not enriching enough, or that the gecko doesn't feel very safe in its enclosure? Like there's not enough coverage? Like a lot of times we can see geckos who have like all glass enclosures with all the sides showing, or even just 3 sides showing. It can make them feel a bit uneasy because it's a lot of stimulation that's like from the outside. So like they might not feel very safe in the enclosure. Thank you so much. I just love them. Like the boys, I too have some disabilities. Brandon sort of had surgery. Okay, the boys just adore them. Thank you so much. You're an awesome caretaker. Of course, and I'm happy to provide you with Benjamin, Jojen, and Merlin updates all the time. Do you have any good enrichment ideas for a leopard gecko? I have a whole video about leopard gecko enrichment on this channel I made just a few weeks back. He has 2 hides and it's all glass. I would offer more hides and also just offer more in the way of coverage. So like driftwood, plants, that sort of thing. And then, offer like some coverage on the sides. So even for the time being, you can just put like a towel over the sides to keep some of the light out and to keep some of the stimulation out. I see the new enclosures. They are pretty cool. Great job. Thank you. I will have a video posted about them on Monday. Hello, remember me? I changed my YouTube channel name. Gotcha Biscuit. I don't think I remember you. What was your old name? Have you ever had a frog-eyed gecko? I have not. What's your favorite substrate for leopard geckos? Okay, so it's not EcoEarth. For anyone who has watched me for any amount of time at all knows I don't like EcoEarth as a substrate. It's okay in like a humid hide or a lay box or like mixed with other substrate, but on its own. I was Ari the reptile lover. Yes, I do remember you. But no, I just am not a huge fan of EcoEarth. I'm currently using a combination of, so like I bought washed play sand from the hardware store and then I sifted it to get the bigger chunks of sand out, and that took forever. And when I mean it took forever, I mean it took forever. Okay? Forever. So I did that, and then I also bought Terra Sahara from the Bio Dude, and then I sifted that, which took forever. And I used so many bags of that, like 4 bags. And they're big bags. 4 of their biggest bags, I used. And so I mixed that with the sand, and then I also had some topsoil that was made up. I would have used more topsoil because it's less expensive, but I had a problem with my topsoil. When I was going to put the enclosures together, the topsoil, it had rained the day before, so it all got soaked through, and it was just an absolute muddy, nasty, couldn't use it. So I had to just buy a lot of bags of the Biodude substrate. So the substrate they have right now is pretty much a mix of the Biodude substrate and sand. There's probably some other stuff in there like topsoil, but it's mostly those 2 things. Someone asked, why not EcoEarth? EcoEarth is not actually a soil, it is a coconut shell, it's coconut fiber. And the reason I'm not a huge fan of it is because when it's dry, it's really dusty, and when it's moist, it grows mold fast. It's just not, in my opinion, a good long-term substrate. And, well, because it's not really a substrate, but you know what I mean. It's not really a soil. It's a substrate, but not a soil. I don't like the texture of it as much. I would prefer something finer than EcoEarth, without the dustiness. So something finer than EcoEarth that does not have the dustiness of EcoEarth. And so what I use right now that I've already explained, the sifted washed play sand and the sifted Terra Sahara from the Biodude, that has worked well so far for my Leo enclosures. Is it possible to crossbreed other reptiles? I mean, some people have crossed like New Caledonian geckos together, but it's not something that I don't breed geckos, so I don't really know that much about it. If you could get any type of reptile in the world, what would it be? Well, I would only get something that's already in captivity, and I'd prefer to get something that was captive bred. The species that I'm interested in are the legless lizard, the European glass lizard. Would love to have one of those someday. I would also really like to have a sandfish skink or a Peter's banded skink someday. But I don't really have too many more reptile species that I'm interested in keeping at the moment, just for the simple fact that I have a lot. And I would really like to enjoy what I have, and I feel like, you know, at some point in time when you get more and more and more, you don't have as much time to enjoy them. That said, it's mostly a factor of time. Like if YouTube was like a career, right? Like I could only I could live off of YouTube income, right? Which I can't do at the time being. I'd have all the time in the world for it, but because I've had to have another job throughout, keeping reptiles and then also doing YouTube, also taking care of reptiles, you know, and it wasn't feasible. So maybe someday I'll be able to get more. Right now is not the time. Cat geckos are adorable. Yes, I think they are. I will not be able to stay here long. My iPad is about to die. I'm sorry to hear that. I plan on getting a Leo within the next few weeks, and the enclosure is already set up. What are the pros and cons of buying from a breeder or rescuing? Good question. So rescuing, really, what's going to come from that is like a personal fulfillment type of thing. You're giving a gecko that needs a home, and kind of guaranteeing that it doesn't have a bad situation. Because like typically if you see a gecko being rehomed on like Craigslist and it's in need of rescue, it might go into inexperienced hands. If this is your first, I don't recommend getting a rescue just because it's your first one. And so you probably want one that's already healthy and already well cared for, because you don't have the experience that like it would require to properly heal and rehabilitate a rescued gecko. If you get one from a breeder, it does come with a certain degree of health guarantee. Now, it depends on the breeder that you go with. It depends if you properly research the breeder as well. You know, there's a lot to be said for the fact that sometimes when you get a gecko from a breeder, it can be a morph that has problems and you don't know about that. And also you could get a gecko that has illness even though they said it doesn't have illness. Now again, that comes down to researching your breeder. So I definitely recommend doing that. But there's pros and cons to both, but for a newbie, it's probably best if you got one from a breeder. Nice hair and shirt combo. Thank you. It's 5%. If your iPad's gonna die, it's okay. I forgive you for leaving. You don't have to worry about it. I appreciate you being here for the time that you were here. Did I miss anyone's question? If I did, I apologize. Just ask it again. But yeah, there's pros and cons to rescuing for every species. And generally speaking, if it's your first or even your second time keeping that species, it's probably good to get one that it looks healthy and comes from a breeder that, you know, can offer a health guarantee or something like that. I'm sorry if this iPhone wiggles at all. It's because it's on this tripod. If you had to pick a single substrate, not a mix though, what would you pick? I only have one Leo, so it doesn't make much sense for me to buy a whole bunch of bags. Okay, so then I would go with the BioDudes Terra Sahara, and I would still sift it because there's huge chunks of like rocks and stuff in there that I just find really unnecessary. And you can sift it by using like, just take like a 10-gallon aquarium topper or whatever size aquarium you have, and set that on top of like another container, and then just run the substrate back and forth over it until the portions that are small enough to fit through the screen fall through, and then dump out what's too big into a trash, and just do that until you're done. And you won't have to buy a bag as big as I did. They sell smaller bags. I think they sell bags in 2 or 3 different sizes. So yeah, you won't have to buy as much as I did for just one Leo. So that is what I recommend anyway. Now, if you have access to Arcadia products because you're not in the United States, I recommend trying Arcadia Earth Mix Arid. That is what Leper Gecko Talk uses, and I have not been able to try it because I'm American, and we are not given access to Arcadia substrates, which is a bummer. So I definitely recommend trying that if you can. Lovely animals. Thank you. How are the rats? The rats are good. They're a year old now. It's a bummer, but you know, hopefully I have a lot more time with them still. Will you be introducing your snakes? When? I will be introducing them probably in December. Probably gonna give it the rest of my snakes. One of my snakes is on antibiotics, so probably gonna go through the rest of those antibiotic weeks. And then I'd also like to have their enclosure set up when I introduce them. I don't like introducing animals when they're in quarantine enclosures because I feel like as a YouTuber I have some responsibility to people who might watch and like not really know that much about quarantine enclosures, right? They might see that and think that's an appropriate setup, and I'd really hate to misinform people, so I'd prefer to do it when they're in their bigger setup. And I think I have how many snakes? I have 2 snakes right now. I wish I had access to Arcadia. I know. The only thing we have access to through Arcadia right now is like lights and supplements, I think. And you just can't have substrate. Whatever. It's a US customs thing, I think. Because I tried buying driftwood from Canada before, and Canada was like, well, Canada, the company in Canada was like, oh, you probably won't ever see this wood because the United States doesn't ever really allow like soils and wood and things like that because they can carry like pests. So they don't allow it to be shipped. Do you avoid scrolling Craigslist? I'm a masochist and scroll often. The poor husbandry is hard to witness. No, I scroll Craigslist probably once or twice a week just to see, like if there's any deals on like Enclosures or Decor that I want. Most of the time I don't find anything. Sometimes I do scroll Craigslist looking for a certain species I'd like to keep, just to see if it's like the right situation, because I've waited like 4 or 5 years sometimes to keep species I want to keep, waiting for the right situation. So I'll look there sometimes, but yeah, it's definitely, like, going into looking at Craigslist or Kijiji or whatever, like, looking at them that you're gonna be sad, because you're gonna see stuff on there that's just not good, but you look anyway. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Craigslist can be really ugly sometimes, like the stuff that's shared on there. And not just for reptiles, but yeah. Let's see if I missed any comments. Nope, I did not. Sorry, I keep yawning. I had to wake up early because I had a friend come in from out of town, and we carved pumpkins, and I put them on my personal Instagram, which is at Jessica Fennon, which is my full name for those who don't know. But I carved this like animal. I don't know what it was. My friend thinks it's a goat. I thought it was like some sort of like wolfy looking creature. I don't know. It's a spooky animal, so that's what I carved. Are Fluker supplements okay? I don't know, because I've never used them. You're my favorite leopard, gecko, and bearded dragon YouTuber. Thank you. Man, I'm so sorry I keep yawning. You guys aren't boring me. I just like all of a sudden I think I don't have enough oxygen to my brain because I'm talking too much. You saw those. Aw. I read that spraying pumpkins with hairspray will make them last longer. Interesting. I've never heard of that. Hey. Never sprayed them with hairspray before. I know Aaron is like, he wants his to last so much longer than it does. Oh, you know what I'm doing tomorrow? I'm voting. I've never voted early before. I've always voted the day of, but like we're seeing the lines that are out there and it's scary. So we're gonna try and vote early and see if we can avoid the long lines that'll probably be happening on voting day. Oh, if you're over 18 or if you're old enough to vote at this point, like 18 and older, make sure you get out there and vote, please. How would I go about searching a breeder and where would I look? So it depends where you're located, because breeders are going to be like regional. Like there's going to be ones that are located like in your state. There's going to be ones that are located near you. And if you don't mind having the gecko shipped to you, you can find breeders anywhere. I really recommend Gecko Boa. Gecko Boa has a pet only page, but it's not updated super often, only like once or twice a month. But they have pet only geckos, and they'll typically have like either absolutely nothing wrong with them and the heads didn't prove out, or like they have like a little bit of a deformity on their tail or something. Typically they're like perfectly fine geckos, or like really close to perfectly fine, and they are quite inexpensive for what they are. You know, it's a quality, healthy gecko. So Gecko Boa is always a good place to look. You can check out Impeccable Gecko on Instagram. You can check out Mutant Geckos on Instagram. You can check out, I think it's Bold and Striped on Instagram. The Instagram and the Facebook breeding communities are probably where you're gonna find people that you can network around to see like who has good reputations and also who doesn't breed problematic morphs. If you see any Enigma, don't support them. If you see any Lemon Frost, don't support them. If they breed like all kinds of animals and you see problematic snakes or bearded dragons, like okay, a problematic snake would be like a spider ball python. Problematic bearded dragon would be silkback. Don't support them. But again, that's going to be your choice. Like, I can't tell you what to do. So, like, if you're cool supporting someone who does that stuff, then that's your business. It's not mine. But I personally, I don't advocate for supporting people that breed problematic morphs. Also, at any point in time, you can ask a breeder, like, and typically you don't have to ask. Typically, like, a breeder will have a website and they'll show pictures of their breeding geckos, or they'll show pictures of, like, their setups online. And, like, you want to look for cleanliness, you want to look for healthy adult breeders. Like, that's the kind of stuff you're going to want to look at. to make sure that you're going to be getting a healthy gecko and that you're supporting someone who's ethical in what they're doing. I went on Craigslist to look for rats to adopt and found someone selling $5 feet pic. That reminds me of that time I was live streaming and someone came in here asking to see my feet. Weird. Spraying pumpkins is bad because critters outside can get sick from eating them. Very good point. Hadn't thought of that. Mine have never been eaten, but that's a good point. Where did you get your enclosures? These are from All American Cages, which you can find them on Etsy, but they also have their own website. I will talk all about that on Monday when I post a picture or a video of them. I just sent out my ballot and it feels like a huge weight off my shoulders. Yeah, I'm really excited to just vote and get it over with. I didn't do mail-in voting for the simple fact that, like, I'm healthy and able-bodied enough to get out there and vote with a face mask on and social distancing. And, like, I'm like, skeptical about, like, whether or not ballots are being properly received in the mail because of, like, things I've seen other states have a problem with, and I live in a red state, and I don't know if they're going to do anything tampering-wise, and it's just like, so I'm going to vote in person, and not like they couldn't tamper with that anyway, right? But I'm going to vote in person. And hopefully no tampering occurs, and I'm 100% solid in my vote, like, crazy, crazy times we live in. Crazy, crazy times. I hate to repeat myself and seem annoying. My female crested husband is spending some time on the floor of her enclosure. Is that worrisome? It could be that she is gonna lay some eggs. Is she gravid? Do you know if she's laid eggs before? Good point on the tampering. Yeah, because, like, I know in Pennsylvania, like, they have to, a new rule was, like, they had to double envelope their ballots, and I was like, that's ridiculous. In Indiana, you have to, like, make sure your signature matches to, like, your signature on your driver's license, and I'm like, my signature never matches from day to day, so I'm not doing that and have my vote not counted. Just, like, dumb things like that, and, like, I don't want that to be something that doesn't make my vote count. So I totally get people having to vote for the mail because they don't want to catch COVID. Like, I totally get that, but because I'm not at risk, and I'm healthy and able-bodied and whatnot, like, I'm gonna get out there and just physically be in person to vote. Hopefully the line isn't that long, because I saw people waiting in 2-hour lines, 5-hour lines, 11-hour lines, and that is ridiculous. We can only do mail-in ballots, and I feel you, I'm nervous. Yeah, I'm nervous for this whole thing. I'm nervous for this whole month. For next month. I'm nervous for all of it, though. It's going to be an absolute disaster. But regardless, make sure that if you can vote, you are out there. Can as in, like, legally or able to. Get out there and vote, you know? Or do a ballot. I don't care. But make sure your voice is heard. And your voice is heard by voting. It's just how it is. And I'm not telling you who to vote for, but just make sure you do it. My rescue lily white Picasso with MBD is doing great. Oh my god! That's so good! If you leave the pumpkin guys in the yard, they'll probably grow more next year. Oh! Just randomly start growing pumpkins in the middle of my front yard. Where should I get my African fat-tailed gecko? I got my most recent one from Impeccable Gecko on Instagram. Have you heard of cutting their gecko eggs? I don't breed geckos, so I can't advocate for or against cutting eggs, but I know that generally speaking, it's not a good idea to cut eggs. At least that's the perception that I've seen from other people who are actually breeders. I think for snakes it's a little bit different, but for geckos, I don't see people cut eggs unless it's like they think the egg is no longer viable. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. It's possible that she could be on the ground because she's going to lay eggs. It could also be that maybe it's warmer near the ground. I don't know if you have like a heat mat or something. Check your temperatures, check your humidity, make sure both of those are proper. Make sure you have enough coverage in the enclosure because she could be at the ground because she doesn't feel safe. And if you have substrate at the bottom, or actually, if she's going to lay eggs, you want to have some substrate in there. But it could just be that she's at the bottom because she might lay eggs. There's a few options. My Leopard Gecko has a big heat mat, so he has 2 warm hides. Is that okay, or should I switch it around so the bigger hide is on the heat mat? I'm afraid the bigger one will let in too much light though. Well, you can always turn a hide so that like it's facing away from the light. So instead of having a hide with like the front facing you, turn it a bit to the side so the front is facing this way and the light can't really hit it, if that makes sense. If your floor space is 2/3 not heat and 1/3 heat, then you're fine. If you're, oh my god. What time of year will a bearded dragon go into brumation? Oh, this time of year, right now. Anytime it gets colder out, that's when it typically is going to start. Mine start to brumate around probably December and January is when mine are brumating the most. But yeah, your floor space when you use heating should not be more than 1/3 heated. So you use an undertank heater, for example. Mine are 36 by 18. And I have the heat running this way in a strip that is 6 inches wide. So if you take 18, which is how deep these are, divided by 3, that's 6. And then that's how you get, I see movement. Oh, she's climbing. You can kind of see. She's climbing. Oh, do it, girl, climb. They want to see. The people want to see. You'll have to just keep an eye out. Are you taking in more leopard geckos that need rescuing? Unfortunately not, because my room right now is nearly floor to ceiling filled with enclosures. So I'm out of room. I'm not out of room in my heart. I am out of room in my room. So it's unfortunate, but that is just the nature of wanting to constantly upgrade your pets, you know. If I kept all my geckos in smaller enclosures, then I could have more, but that's not what I want to do, so. We adopted the crested gecko from a rehoming situation. They were struggling to provide care. Are you worried that, like, it's an issue with health? Because if that's the case, you could take it to an exotic vet. Also, I had said this already to you, Brittany, but I am sorry to hear about your bearded dragon. That's really unfortunate. This man is still mowing his yard, and I want to open the windows. It's taking forever. Hi, Jackson. You want to say hi to the people? Come here. Want to say hi to the people? Jump, 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 jump. Oh, oh, he just turned my chair. Oh, that was my organ. Say hi to the people. Hello to the people. Hello to the people. My name is Jackson and I have short legs. Where did you get your blue tongue skink? It's okay if you repeat yourself. If I miss your comment, that's on me. You can repeat yourself as much as you want. Aaron's blue tongue skink was from... Adam something. Oh god, I can't remember the name. It was so long ago. I don't know. Aaron got his from a breeder that specializes in blue tongue skinks, but I can't remember who it was. I'd have to ask him, but he's downstairs in the basement. Would you do a blue tongue skink diet video? I'd have to do a little bit of research because it is Aaron's pet, not mine. So, like, I know what to feed his, but, like, I'd want to double check before I were to share information about the skink. Do you know what I mean? I don't ever want to mislead anyone on my channel. So, oh, are you jumping down? Okay, goodbye. Stop moving my chair, please. But yeah, I'm definitely considering making more blue tongue skink videos. Hi, I'm Nicholas. My birthday. Oh, happy birthday! And it's your gecko's birthday too? Congratulations and happy birthday. I don't share a birthday with any of my pets, I don't think. I mean, not that I would know. I mean, maybe I do. A lot of mine are rescues, so I don't know their birthdays. I can only even guess at their ages, so. Do 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 do. I'm going to a wedding on Friday, and I'm going alone to a wedding on Friday, so I'm gonna dance by myself. Should the hot side of a Leo tank be 90 degrees on the heat mat or 90 degrees on top of the substrate? So when you direct your infrared thermometer, your temperature gun at the substrate, it should be 90 on top of the substrate. Now, when you place your probe, you can place your probe directly on top of your heat source and just set it to like 92 or 93 so that it radiates through all the material, like the bottom of the enclosure, the substrate, whatever, so that it reaches the appropriate temperature on top of the substrate. But it is advised when you use a heat source to take the probe and put it on top of the heating source. Like for heat tape, that's how it's advertised to use it. So I have my probe on directly on top of the heat tape underneath, in between these enclosures, which look like they're touching, but they actually have a good gap here. I hatched a crested gecko on my birthday, 10/8. Oh my goodness, happy belated birthday to you and your crested gecko. How are you? I'm good. I'm a little tired, but I'm good. I'm a little tired all the time. This year has exhausted me. I feel like I have aged 2 years instead of 1 this year. Maybe 3 years. But otherwise, I'm good. Staying as positive as possible. I'm going to be on for 15 more minutes and then I'm going to bounce so I can work on Leper Gecko enclosures because that's all I do anymore is work on enclosures. But hopefully they'll be so pretty and nice when they're done. And then this whole rack over here is going to be these type of enclosures as well, but different sizes. I'll have like a 48 by 18 by 18 on the bottom, and then I'll have two 30 by 18 by 12s and two 18 by 18 by 12s, and then one 48 by 18 by 24 on top. What do you feed your dibby roaches? I feed them carrots, I feed them greens like bearded dragon greens, I feed them fruits, like if I have oranges or banana peel, I'll feed them that. I feed them peppers, like bell peppers. I feed them really all kinds of stuff, all kinds of produce, mostly vegetables, sometimes fruits. Do you keep your tanks heated at night or do you turn it off? Thank you. Hold on, this is insane. Like, y'all are so nice today. Well, you're nice all the time, but this is too nice. Give me 1 second. I'll get to you in just a second. Do you keep your tanks heated at night or do you turn it off? They're heated 24/7, so at night and during the day. I appreciate the seriousness with which you take your platform. Thank you so much. Like, I just always want to put out, like, the most thoughtful information because I don't want to say something flippantly and then, like, regret it later when I've misled somebody. And I'm sure I've said something in the past, like, I'm constantly, like, privating old videos because I'm like, well, I don't 100% agree with that statement now. It's like, I just always want to be, like, on top of my game, so to speak. So I really appreciate that you see that. And that makes me happy. Thank you, guys. Do you think you would ever own any type of monitor? It's possible. It's possible. But I'd much rather have a Tegu, to be honest. You're the best. Oh, you put a question mark. You're the best, kind of. Trust me, I don't think I'm the best, but I appreciate you. She said asterisk. Yeah. I know. I'm just playing with you. Yeah, I don't know about being the best, but I do appreciate it. Yeah, I'm interested in having a Tegu, to be honest. A monitor, like, my friend has a Savannah monitor, and it's, like, the cutest thing ever, and it's so smart and so lovely, but, like, when I picture myself, every time I've pictured myself having a big lizard, it hasn't been a monitor or an iguana, it's been a Tegu, so we'll see. If I ever have a big lizard, that's probably what it'll be. And I've always wanted to dedicate, like, half of a room to building an enclosure, so, like, just having, like, a room that's, like, a small bedroom or something, or, like, a large closet, and being able to convert that into a reptile room with, like, a sliding door, heat lamps coming from the ceiling, like, oh, it'd be amazing. I come to this channel to get pointers on geckos, the only channel I really trust on getting the right information. Oh, thank you. I think it would be so cool to have a Tegu. So do I. And, again, my friend who has the Savannah monitor also has a Tegu. Well, he has a couple of them, but, like, they're so cool. I'm obsessed with my Tegu. You have one? What's his name? That would be awesome. Yeah, right? Like, having that big space like that. I've always wanted to do that. Like, dedicate a whole room to just one species. Like, whether or not that was, like an aviary or anything like that. Have you been staying hydrated? It's been so difficult for me to keep up on basic self-care with all the stress. Honestly, that is a really good question because, like, no. Like, I have not been taking care of myself as well as I should have been, but this year is so exhausting. Like, I'm happy I haven't, like, put on or lost weight. Like, I've stayed stable. Because, like, when I get in bad headspaces, I usually fluctuate. But, like, I haven't, and I haven't been drinking as much water as I should. I've been eating unhealthy foods, like, well, I always eat unhealthy foods, but, like, extra. And I just haven't been like getting out of the house as much because of COVID, and it's just like, oh, it's not a good year. Like, and then on top of that, like, not to get on a little bit of like my own, let me just talk about myself for a minute here. I'm sure most of you won't care, but like this year I had to put my rat Finn to sleep. My gecko Bolin, I'm not gecko, my frog, my fire-bellied toad, which is a frog, Bolin, escaped his enclosure. Even though I've had him for 4 years, I've never had them escape once. Escaped his enclosure and I never found him, which is horrible. Like, it was so traumatizing because I literally like still walk around the house like thinking out of the corner of my eye I see him. And like at this point I know he's no longer alive because he's an amphibian, they have to stay moist. Ugh, I haven't even announced that one on YouTube yet. Like, because it's just everything started like happening one after the other, and it was like, I'll just make one big video, but then everything keeps happening, so it's like, so I've talked about it on Instagram, I've talked about it on Twitter, but so Bolin and Finn happened like the same week or like a week apart. And then my dog was also diagnosed with cancer at the beginning of this year, and actually just died of cancer, and he died in front of me in my bathroom, so that was traumatic. And I hyperventilated so hard that I almost passed out, and I lost all the feeling in my fingertips, and I hurt my ribs. Like, they hurt for like a solid week after. So that was horrible. And my gecko Shireen died of a liver tumor, and I lost my job because of COVID. Like, right in the beginning when everyone was losing their jobs, I lost mine then. And then I don't qualify for unemployment anymore because I make too much from YouTube, which too much from YouTube just means anything like over $100 a month, which is not anything to survive on. And it's just like, it's just one thing after the other, you know what I mean? And like, then there's the state of the world itself, and that is exhausting. So like, it's been a year. It's been a year. So I know like there's probably better things around the corner, but like this whole year has just been me like constantly worrying about like what's gonna happen next. And interestingly enough, last year my dog Freeway died, and we had to put him to sleep. He was really old, wasn't doing well. And then like 2 weeks later, or like I wasn't in my first 2 weeks before, 2 weeks later, but Asha, my gecko, passed away really suddenly from follicle state. Thank you for moving my tripod, Jackson. What are you doing?
Saying hi.
Hi, don't stare at me like that.
What do you mean?
You scare me.
I didn't scare you.
You rattled the thing.
No, he rattled the thing.
Oh. So Asha passed away from follicle stasis, and then like this year, same thing happened. Shireen died, and then a couple weeks later, my dog Sam died. So every time something bad happens, there's always something right after. So it's like giving me a little bit of like, I don't know, like residual feeling. So like anytime something bad happens, I'm really like freaked out. Something else bad will happen. The same thing happened with Finn. This year, my rat Finn, I had to put him to sleep, and then like within that same 2 weeks, Bolin escaped, and then I never found him. So it's just like one thing after the other. And then I was really excited to keep White's tree frogs this year, and the White's tree frogs I was given, one of them had passed parasites to the others, so then I had to do parasite treatments, and that took so long, and we're still having problems with one of them. And then the garter snakes I was given, or not given, but like the garter snakes that I got, one of them had a blister infection. So just like, could we just not, this year has been too much, like, it's just exhausting. Have you ever been interested in getting turtles or tortoises? I have box turtles and they're amazing. Yes, 100%. When I have more space, I will definitely be getting turtles. I'm cool with owning aquatic turtles. I'm kind of more drawn to like tortoises though, to be honest, just because water changes are a lot of work. Thank you, Michelle. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Sonny. Do you dechlorinate your gecko's water? I don't actually have to because we have well water, so it's not treated with chlorine. So I don't have to unchlorinate it, if that makes sense. I try to focus on the positive of this year, though. There's a lot of them. So, like, that's on Instagram the other day. I don't know if anyone saw, but that I was, like, asking what your guys' positives were because, like, let's all focus on that because it can be a challenge to to focus on them, especially this year. I've lost pets and family members this year. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's just been a bad year. Like, I've heard like people have had a bad year personally, and then like on the grand scheme of things, this year has been absolute madness. Very new to the channel. What's in the enclosures behind you? Hello, welcome. These are my leopard gecko enclosures. I haven't actually revealed them yet, so you're kind of getting a little bit of a sneak peek. But on Monday, hopefully on Monday, I'll be posting a video all about like where I got them from, and it's gonna be broken down into 4 videos. So the first video is gonna be the fun one where you guys get to see a tour inside, look at each and every enclosure, and then there's gonna be how do I heat them. So I'm gonna go all throughout like the process of making heat for them, which I used heat tape. You can kind of see a bit of it here. And then there's going to be a separate video about the decor that I use. So I'm going to go through each individual item of decor that you can see in the enclosures and like where I got them from and like any tips I have for using them. And then I'm also going to have a video about how much they cost, because I think it's really important to talk about that aspect of keeping reptiles, is that it can be very expensive, especially if like you accumulate a lot of them or if you want to just go all out and do your best for them. So I thought I'll talk about how much they cost. And then I think that's all the videos that I have about these. Oh, and then I also have a fun one of feeding all of them in their new enclosures. So obviously I have been feeding them this whole time, but that video will be like giving them a treat like a hornworm or something, which I just got today. So I'll be filming that soon, because if they're ready, I'll film them today. Just bought new enclosures from Zen Habitats yesterday, but now I am wishing that I ordered the ones behind you because they look so nice. Yeah, these are not as ready as Zen Habitats though, because you have to like, they're like 6 to 8 weeks out when you order them, I think. But you can order custom sizes. But the cool thing about Zen Habitats ones is that they have like that wooden or bamboo paneling. These are just black. They're more lightweight than Zen Habitats though. I will say that. But yeah, Zen Habitats comes in like big sizes, but like you can't get custom sizes. But they're both good enclosures. I really like both of them. They both have like everything's gonna have pros and cons, but like generally speaking, I didn't find a single con about these except like having to pick up 32 of them at a time, which, you know, that's my bad. If you just had to pick up 1 or 2 or even have them shipped to you, that's easy. But there's no cons in general about these. And then except maybe that they're black and there's nothing else going on, but some people might like that. Whereas with the Zen Habitats ones, I really like that they have that bamboo printed wood or PVC because it looks pretty. I'm building a bookshelf like the ones you had before. I was selling mine for a while. It's so weird. I had so many people that were interested in buying them, and then when I sent out the emails, not a single person replied, and I posted them on like Craigslist and sold some that way. I have considered getting PVC or something similar for my Leos since I just got one for my ball python. It's so light. Oh my god, I love that they're so lightweight. It's so easy stacking them. Do you have any reptile supplies you are getting for Prime Day? Nope. I can't really spend any more on reptile supplies. But like I bought Decor over months for these enclosures. Months. And I ran out in the first 12 enclosures. And then I had to order more Decor, and then I ran out again. And then I had to order more Decor, and then I ran out again. And then I had to order more, and then I ran out again. So I'm happy to never order more Decor ever again. So sorry to hear that. I hope things are starting to look up for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I had only seen snakes kept in that type of enclosure before. No, the humidity in these enclosures is a little bit lower than my ambient humidity, like in the room. They have ventilation. You can't see it because of the reflection. But they have here and here on every panel. So there's some here and there's some here. And then there'll be some on the back piece on both sides and on the side piece on both sides. So it's actually like 6 spots for ventilation. And the bigger ones have even more, and they're larger. And you can also request because these are custom. Like, he can make them however you need them. You can get a screen top, you can get more ventilation, you can get partial screen top. On my white street frog one, I just have a strip large enough for the UVB, for example. So yeah, you can get any sort of customs that you need. So if you're worried about humidity in these type of enclosures, then yeah, you just ask for more ventilation. I knew that I'd be fine because this is a similar amount of ventilation that I offered in my Gecko bookshelves. In fact, this is a bit more. So I knew I'd be okay. And I am. I'm back. Hello. I was wondering if you had a P.O. box. I don't. Should I get one? People ask from time to time, but I never thought to get one. I think the good thing about the All-American, I have one for my ball python, is the humidity can be controlled pretty easy either way. Yeah, I think that's true. My Leos have ever only had screen lids. Good to know. Yeah, like, I've had just as easy time keeping, like, geckos with screen tops as I have with these. The only issue you'll have is, like, if you're adding substrate and the substrate is moist, it will capture the humidity big time. But, like, just let the substrate dry out before adding it, and then you're good to go. I think it's amazing. I'm going to DIY. I wanted to buy and message you for yours, but things are so crazy right now. No worries. Don't feel bad at all. It's fine. I'm new to the leopard gecko family, and my husband bought me one. Her name is Diamond. She's a super leopard gecko, come to find out, and we rescued one, Rambo. That's cute! You should totally open a P.O. box. I make reptile hides and would love to send you one someday. Okay. I will look into opening a P.O. box at the start of the new year. See, like, I don't really know anything about it, so I'll definitely just look into it. And then I'll probably make a comment about it in a video or something, or on Instagram when I finally do open it. I'm still scared of loose substrates, though. I've been keeping Leos for 3 years. Oh. Don't do that. Okay. Yeah, I think I just reached the point mentally where I was like, I'm keeping so many species on substrate that I've never had a problem with. Why would leopard geckos be any different? Like, I keep African fat-tailed geckos on substrate. I keep my skinks on substrate. I keep, like, salamanders and amphibians on substrate. I keep my cave gecko on substrate. I keep my crested geckos on substrate, my lychee gecko on substrate. So eventually I was just like, why would my bearded dragons and my leopard geckos be any different? If I could find a good arid substrate, why couldn't I keep them on substrate, you know? And there's some limitations, like my neurological geckos for the most part, wow, I said that so fast. My neurological geckos for the most part cannot be on substrate. And then I have a gecko with MBD that I tried giving substrate to, and it didn't work out because her back leg drags too much and the substrate would, like, it just, like, slowed her down. And I obviously don't want to make a more difficult time for her, so I had to take substrate away from her. And then there's a couple geckos that couldn't have it, that have stunted growth, and they have eye problems, and substrate can have a tendency to get stuck in their eyes, and so, like, I couldn't do that either. But, like, for geckos that are well adjusted and healthy and normal, substrate has been fine. I've fed them multiple times on substrate already with no issues with them getting any in their mouth. And if you really are worried about that, you can always bowl feed. But yeah, I haven't had an issue. And same thing for the bearded dragons, but I use partial substrate for them. How are the snakes? The snakes are doing well. The little checkered one is the healthier one who didn't have a blister disease and is doing great. It's been a healthy weight the whole time. It's more skittish than the other one though, so we're working on that. And then the one that has been sickly is what I call Stripes. They don't have real names yet, I apologize. But that one had blister disease when I got it, and all the blisters are gone. Had a second shed that was really successful, came off in one piece, which was amazing because the first one did not come off in one piece, and I attribute that to the fact that it had blisters on its body, so it's kind of, it won't like break evenly, you know what I mean? But after the second shed, all the blisters are gone. There's like one tiny scab on its back that like you can barely tell it's there, and so that'll probably go away with the next shed. And as long as no blisters appear, we're good to go. So I'm really happy about that. Also, the snake has put on some weight, which is a good thing. So yeah, good news all around. And that one is like really easy to handle, like a total peach. And they're both so cute. Oh my god, they both pop their head out of their hide at the same time and watch me in the room. Like they are like the best of friends. Like they always chill together. They're always like investigating each other. When they're both going to like watch me, they both like pop their head out at the same time and just like move the same way I'm moving and just watch. Oh my god, they're so cute. So perfect, the most wholesome little babies. I love them. But yeah, they're doing well. And I'm excited to get them in something bigger. I really don't like using aquariums for anything, but they're in an aquarium right now for a quarantine enclosure. But their bigger enclosure that I'm having made for them right now is 48 by 18 by 18. And it will have UVB, and they'll have heat in the form of under tank heater on one of their hides. But the pet room stays pretty warm, so they don't even really have to be in it all that often. Garter snakes are, what's the word? They live in this region in which I live. They're native to this region. There you go. And so our yearly temperatures are like perfect for them. And the pet room's a little bit on the warm side because of all the other reptile heatings and stuff. And this room naturally is a bit warmer because of the way it faces the sun. But yeah, so it's just going to be really nice. Like, I like the temperature of this room because a lot of species can do really well without even having to use their supplemental heat. So, it's good. Same thing with the white tree frogs. Are you still taking in pet-only geckos? I was wondering because you have so many. Unfortunately, at this time, I can't take in any more. I would like to in the future, but it's quite a ways away until I can do that because right now my pet room is floor to ceiling on 3 walls gecko enclosures. So it's just not, I just can't do it. I can't get any more and still give them a better quality of life, like a spacious enough enclosure, for example. I just don't have the room. What is your favorite type of snake? My favorite type of snake is a garter snake. Okay. I know I missed some. Favorite rat enrichment? Good question. I love ropes. I think ropes are amazing and underrated. I like ropes a lot. If you're making like little toys, I think cardboard rolls go a long way. I like having tunnels. My rats in particular love tunnels. You can put tunnels like up the side of the cage. You can put them on the ground floor. And then, you know, when you have like floor time with your rats, the tunnels can come out and can go on the floor as well, and they really love that. I have this like one tunnel that's like made for ferrets, and it's clear and it like bunches up and then expands, and they love to run through that. Anything that's food related is really great too. So like if you have oats, you can like spread it across the ground and let them forage and substrate for oats. You can give them food in like a bird feeder, like it's not a bird feeder, but it's like a little like toy feeder that's advertised for birds. And it like makes them have to forage for it, like a foraging wheel or like a little ball that hangs and there's like tiny spots where the food can come through. Those are always good. Anything food related is always going to be good for rats because they are very food oriented and motivated. You have been a great help for me and my family. Oh, thank you. I keep my Cresties on bioactive substrate, but I've tongue fed them all along because I don't want anyone getting impacted. I'm so paranoid. Yeah, my Cresties, when I do feed them insects, they're definitely tongue fed. Because, like, first of all, that's just easier, to be honest. What will you do the number generator thing for naming the snakes? Oh, that's a good idea. Well, actually, I have this. Okay, so I got calcium dishes from Strudy's on Etsy, and they sent. Whoops. Sorry about that. And they sent me a I ordered all white ones, and they sent me one that's rainbow, and I was like, that's kind of fun. Maybe I can do like a random generator on like a YouTube live or something, or have people vote to see who gets like the little rainbow dish, you know? That'd be kind of fun. I have some names, tentative names picked out for the snakes. What's your favorite type of snake? Oh, I read that already. How do you keep your electric bill down? Well, I pay a third of the electric bill, and then the other adults in the house pay for the other third. It's a big house, so like heating it in general is kind of expensive, but a lot of times people think that like reptile electric like heating and lighting is like expensive. But if you look at the wattage for a lot of things, like for leopard geckos, for example, the wattage needed to like heat an enclosure is really low. The ones that are going to be more expensive are things like bearded dragons because they have high wattage bulbs, and they require multiple bulbs. But yeah, I mean, there's really no way to keep it down as far as I'm aware, and I've never tried, so I'm not really the one to ask for that. I have a gecko. How do I set my... Had it? I don't have morning geckos. I'd like to get rid of all glass aquariums and exoterras before. Yeah, my problem with exoterras is the fact that the glass, no matter how much you clean it, never looks clean. And it drives me nuts. So that's, I mean, even if you build like really gorgeous backgrounds on the sides and the back of the enclosure, the front glass somehow always looks dirty. Like it just never comes clean. I don't know. I'm over it. Like I don't want any more glass enclosures. And so like some of them I have to have because there's water elements in them. Like for example, my fire-bellied toad polydarium. But like if I don't have to have glass anymore, I don't want it. That said, I am probably going to miss some of these enclosures I built because they are so nice, but we'll see. We'll see. I got rainbow extras too. That's so cool. Yes, do a vote. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was like, it's such a cute little rainbow dish, and I was like, you know, there's only one of them in there, so I was like, maybe I can just like take a vote or something and see who should get like this special rainbow dish, you know? I just thought they'd be kind of fun and interactive. Real proud of my bioactive, but Peanut left the dragon's junk. Oh. Yeah, that's how my crested geckos are too. They just, oh my god, my lychee is a nightmare. She poops down the front of her door, and lychee poop is, it's on par with bearded dragon poop, if I'm being honest. They're not even as big as bearded dragons, but their poop is stinky, and they always poop down the front of the glass, and it's got weight to it, so it just, even if the enclosure is like 4 feet tall, it just all the way down. It's very annoying. Do you have a Toki gecko? I do not have a Toki gecko. Oh my god. The dude finally stopped mowing. And I was gonna open the windows, and now the lawn service for my other neighbor just arrived. Ah. My Leo still likes to stay in his hot hide, very cautious boy. She sleeps on top of it at night and sleeps in it during the day. She's laying on top of her log right now. That's cute. I'm going to be on for a couple more minutes and I'm going to go because I've already gone over how long I was going to be here for. So if anyone has any other questions or anything like that, let me know. If I missed something that you said, let me know. I apologize if I ever miss anything you ask. Don't mind. Just ask it again. I won't think you're annoying. Yes, I watch Serpa Design. Very nice channel. I aspire to do the things that he does with his enclosures, but I'm also very aware that I will never have enclosures. I like in particular watching like the polydarium builds he does, like for his frogs. What's your favorite movie? Mine is Invader Zim. I don't have a favorite movie, to be honest. I have trouble picking favorites for anything because I like so many things. If you pick like a genre, I can give you a couple favorites. Can I send you a Toki gecko? No, you may not send me a Toki gecko. I don't have space for any more pets right now. One thing I am excited about when I upgrade away from exoterras to these black enclosures on this side of the wall is less plugs. Because I have plugs for lights and plugs for heat sources and plugs for filters for water. And I won't need to do that. I'll only have 2 plugs over here for heat. And that's it. And it's going to be joyous. And then I'll have a couple plugs for UVB lights. But like, ugh, it's going to be so nice. No more annoying filters. Because like the frogs have water sections right now that have filters in them, and they're just gonna get bowls and these new ones for like to make it more simple, like large bowls. Did you answer my sleeping question a second? I didn't know it was a question. I'm sorry, can you rephrase it? Every outlet in this room is a power strip of field. Yes. Ugh. Something I'm really happy about with these new enclosures is that like everything is just like plugged into a thermostat. So it's like heat, thermostat, heat, thermostat. So it's just one plug into my actual wall. It's nice, very nice. Then this side of the room with the garage shelving with all the enclosures, this is where all my outlets are, and I'm really looking to reduce that because it's annoying. Tips to make a leopard gecko enclosure pretty. Actually, I gave some of those at the beginning of the stream, but we can do that again. So here is Amy's enclosure. And as you can see, there's driftwood, cork bark, fake succulents, some standing ground plants. You can really use all kinds of things. You can, this is like an arid theme. I have a couple different theme of enclosures. So some of mine are more like really heavily planted and some of them are more arid. So they have like succulents and stuff. But you can really do all kinds of stuff. You can have plants, you can have driftwood, you can have cork, you can have like slate rock, you can have substrate, you can have fake plants, you can have live plants, you can have hanging plants, ground plants, you can have a DIY background or a pre-made background, all kinds of rocks. Should my leopard gecko's eyes always be closed when I check on him during the day? Yes, probably if it's sleeping. They don't sleep with their eyes open. My snack do not like to eat. You mean snake? I finally labeled all my thermostats so I don't have to figure out which goes to what tank. Oh, I can't even imagine. I'm so happy that I have a Herpstat thermostats now because it's just like, oh, it's simple. Because they have the thermostats from Herpstat, they have multiple probes and multiple outlets. And so I have a Herpstat 2 on this one, 2 Herpstat 2s for this wall, and a Herpstat 2 over there. I would have used a Herpstat 4 over here, but it sold out like the week I went to buy it, go figure. So I had to buy 2 Herpstat 2s, but it's fine. I just wanted to only use one outlet, but it is what it is. So that's what I enjoy. Herpstats are like top of the line thermostats. I know like Herpstat and his Vivarium Electronics, is that the brand? I can't remember. But they're like the two that are known in the business for like being really top of the line thermostats. I spent $800 on thermostats for these enclosures. So I wanted thermostats that I could rely on, thermostats that were high tech. So, because when you're running this much heat tape, you don't want to use like a chintzy or cheapy thermostat because you run risks of it not working properly. So my snack do not like to eat. You mean snake? I don't know what to tell you. I have snakes that probably aren't the same type of snake as you. So, and mine like to eat a lot. Would you ever do a live with the rats during free roam time? I have posted a video of them like eating peas, but most people aren't interested in the rats, unfortunately. But maybe in the future I will. Especially now that this pet room is all figured out, I can put their big playpen in here now. So I'm so busy, so I'm watching this. I relate. I really need help with my leopard gecko's lighting. It's cold in my room at night and day. What lighting do you suggest? You can get a ceramic heat emitter or a deep heat projector to offer heat into the enclosure that won't offer light. Where do you get your fake plants? Amazon. Can people buy some of your reptiles? No, my reptiles are not for sale. Can you put tomato frogs in PVC enclosures? Yeah, you probably can. I'm gonna be putting my frogs into these type of enclosures. As long as it has ventilation and it is secure and it's not made with some sort of like toxic chemical, you're fine. Make sure that like when you get an enclosure like this, that you clean it out because it may have dust or it may have like some sort of debris in it that from the making process, and that goes for any enclosure. Just always wipe it out before you put an animal in it, just to make sure you get all the dusts and stuff. That's a lot of money on thermostats. Yes, I have spent so much money on these. It's over $5,000, I think. What is your favorite position of splooting that you've caught your leopard geckos in? I love when they are laying with like their head in a weird way. So like Theon fell asleep with his body splooting outside of his humid hide, but his face was in his humid hide. Or like Tormund will fall asleep with her face resting on top of her calcium dish, but the rest of her body's on the ground. It's just, I love when their head's doing something different. 5,000, girl damn. Yes. Yes. And I'm still spending money now because I had to buy more decor because I underestimated how big these enclosures are compared to how the size I was using before. The enclosures themselves cost like $3,600, and that's including the white tree frog enclosure, which I subtracted when I make the video about how much these enclosures cost. I took the white tree frog one out, and then counting heat tape, which was $200, thermostats was $800, decor has been easily over $1,000, probably like, I don't know, $1,500. It's been a lot. Calcium dishes, thermostats, I'm sorry, not thermostats, thermometers and hygrometers, so much stuff. Anyways, I have it all tallied out and itemized, so I'll talk about it in that video, but it's over 5,000 for sure. Yep. Lots of money. It's been a painful year, but I hopefully will not have to do this again for a long, long time, because this is a good size for a leopard gecko. I feel like 33 gallons is a pretty good size for a leopard gecko. And then the smaller enclosures, even, like, they're good sizes for what I have in them. Like a lot of stunted growth geckos or MBD or neuro gecko or whatever. So, yes. So lots of money. Oh, yeah. How many enclosures? 31 leopard gecko enclosures and 1 white tree frog enclosure. What does your fire-bellied toad tank look like? Ugly, but it looks like this. I can't turn it. Looks like that, but it's ugly. We won't look at it for too long. I'm still working on it. Don't judge me. I would need more live pothos for it. I need to put stuff on the walls because the walls are plain, and I also want to paint the outside of the enclosure, because one problem I have with glass enclosures is they let so much external light in, and I'm like trying to block, like if one of my enclosures, for example, it's an aquarium that I'm actually not going to be using for much longer, but I painted the outside walls with acrylic paint. I painted it black so that external light can't get in, because man, like frog tanks grow algae because their poop is so fertile, which is why pothos flourishes in these tanks, but like I don't want algae to flourish. So if I just close out the external light and just let the light from above. Anyways, I also want to I want to get more bamboo. I want to get more moss balls. I want to get more Anubias plants. Like, I want to do more to this enclosure, but for the time being, that's what it looks like. I want more manzanita, but again, my manzanita order is gonna have to wait until I get my snake upgrade and my frog upgrade, because I'll just buy all the wood at one time for that. Dude, that looks awesome. Thank you. Any idea on why my male leopard gecko grips with his back legs when he is being handled? Ugh. Is it possible he feels like unsafe? Is anything happening with his vent while he does that? Because that could be something else. I don't really know. After your fire-bellied toads laid eggs, have you considered getting into breeding any particular species? Well, none of the tadpoles survived, so I don't really have to worry about that. I don't want to breed them. They bred on their own, that's their business, but the babies did not live, so there's a tadpole annihilation in this tank. That's what happened. And I don't know why they died. One of them made it to the point where he was like pretty fat, like he was pretty well fed, you know, and he was there for a couple weeks, but then he's gone. I can't find him anymore. So maybe they're in here, but they're hiding really well. I don't know. Usually I can see them, but I haven't seen any for a while now, so I just assume that they are all goners, unfortunately. Or fortunately. I don't really want more frogs, to be honest with you. So it's possible they were eaten, but again, like, I know my frogs, like, I didn't see them ever even noticing them, so. All that while dealing with unemployment. Yes, I prepared this year. This was my upgrading leopard gecko enclosures year. I also upgraded, I was also planning on upgrading my bearded dragon enclosures, but I upgraded enclosures I wasn't planning on upgrading this year, like my red-eyed crocodile skink enclosure, and my tiger salamander got an enclosure, and have I upgraded everybody? My firebelly toads got a new one. Everybody but these guys right here, but they're getting one in December. So yeah, just like last year, I will have upgraded almost every pet I already have. And next year is my upgrading the new cow geckos. So like next year, the lychee gets an upgrade, all 4 crested geckos get upgrades, and then my my skink, my fire skink will get an upgrade. And that's it. That's all I want to do next year. I don't want to do no more. I'm done. I want to spend money on me now. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. It's been a busy year. My leopard gecko Tokyo sploots all the time. I love when they sploot. Can you still make a DIY background like you made for Gamakichi? Yes, 100%. Yeah. I'm not sure what I'll do. Like, I'm still not 100% sure about getting rid of Gamakichi's enclosure, because Gamakichi's enclosure is one of the only ones that's really thriving. Like, the plants are kicking butt. So I'm still not 100% sure about the changes made. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not 100% yet, but we'll see. I'm kind of thinking about just like moving them over here and like only upgrading some of them in which the enclosures like didn't do so hot with the plants. Like Cho-Cho, because Cho-Cho annihilated her live plants. So we'll see. I'm thinking about it, you know? Still pondering. But yeah. Help me, it is so sunny here. It is sunset here soon. What's your favorite gecko? That I own, or like gecko species? I've thought about breeding geckos. I've never thought about it because I don't want to. So it's just not my thing. I prefer to keep like rescues and special needs geckos and stuff like that. So I can't breed those. That I own. I don't have a favorite gecko. I don't have a favorite pet. I mean, other than Jackson, who's my dog. But if you're asking favorite species that I own, damn, that's a hard one. I came to your channel because one of my boys moves differently than everyone else, and I was worried, but it doesn't seem neurological. He's my only albino. Do they move different to you? No, but if there's too much light, he may just be a bit more bothered, and so he might move differently because of that, but it could also be MBD. Not saying that it's something you caused, but maybe he was susceptible to it more so because like of where you got him from or his genetics. Usually if it's a gecko that's moving different, it has to do with metabolic bone disease, with a secondary, could be neurological condition, but most of the time it's MBD. He was pretty rough when I got him, really thin. Yeah, it could be that. Are you a big Harry Potter fan? I was until J.K. Rowling had to ruin the franchise by being rude. Ugh. I'm still a fan at heart of Harry Potter, like a childhood heart, you know what I mean? But as an adult and as a money spending person, I will not put money towards Harry Potter unless it's like through a third party, like an Etsy store or something like that. They make it themselves. It's just, you know, I don't want to support bad people, and for her to make the comments that she made about trans women was really rubbed me the wrong way. So I personally not gonna support her, and that means not supporting the things that she's done, which includes Harry Potter, which is a very tough decision to come to, I'll be honest, because it just makes me sad, because Harry Potter was a big part of my childhood and even part of my adulthood. I feel weird even when my mom is even just playing the Harry Potter phone game. She knows JKR sucks but still plays it. Yeah, I mean, and there's people who don't like J.K. Rowling or the comments that she made, but they still go on to, you know, buy stuff that was made by, you know, a company that she profits off of. And, like, everyone's going to do their own thing, and I'm not going to judge someone for the decisions that they make. That's ultimately, like, that's their choice, you know. But just me personally, like, I don't feel comfortable supporting that. Like, it just... Ugh. Especially when the actors themselves who were in the movies who know J.K. Rowling were like, nah, I don't support that. It's like, well, if they can't and they know her personally, like, I definitely shouldn't be. I will be a snake breeder in the future. Oh, cool. What kind of snakes are you going to breed? Do you have any advice for new reptile YouTubers? Do you want advice about, like, the community, or do you want advice about, like, YouTube itself? Like, how to gain followers, or what to publish, or that sort of stuff? Or do you want questions about the community? Or, I mean, do you want tips about the community? Any advice? Okay, so we'll start with the community. So, inevitably, you may be drawn into a situation where you have a disagreement with, or you disagree with something that another YouTuber has said. Take it from me, don't talk about it. It leads to problems. Keep your opinions to yourself, mind your own business, play nice with everyone, be very politically correct about it. Because it doesn't ultimately do anything even to have your own stance about things. And, like, it's hard for me to say that because I'm really opinionated. But, like, at the end of the day, for most things, just, like, let it go. And you might be one of those people who doesn't care, so that's even better. If there's ever someone that you dislike, or you judge them for something they're doing, don't ever say it in a group chat or to someone that you don't trust, because that information will get back to them. I've had people literally be nice to my face and then talk about me in a group chat, and then I was sent pictures of that conversation. So I know people have talked crap about me, but they are still being nice to me because they don't know that I've seen it. And so it's just like, if you wouldn't say it to that person's face, do not say it in a group chat. It'll inevitably get around. And that's even if you're not, like, in the community as a YouTuber and just you're in it as, like, a watcher or viewer. Like, that stuff gets around big time. So just be really careful with what you say. As for YouTube itself, post what makes you happy. The community is, like, constantly changing. Like, the things that were popular once, people aren't really doing anymore. So post what makes you happy, and that is what's going to give you long-term success. And it'll take a while to build up any sort of success, which means followers, views, that sort of thing. It'll take time. Don't be frustrated if you're only getting so many views or so many follows, whatever. Just post it because it makes you happy. If it doesn't make you happy, don't do it. If it doesn't fulfill you in some way, don't do it. If you don't like it, don't do it. Be careful what you say, because this community is a very sensitive community. And so, like, if you advertise something that's harmful, people will remember and they will come for you for forever for it. So always try to be, always be, like, thinking ahead. So, like, when I start a video, if it's a feeding video, I'll say, this is what I'm feeding my geckos today. It is not representative of a complete diet, right? So, like, just something like that. That way people can't, you know, jump to their own conclusions or anything like that. Try to answer questions that you might get before you even start the video. Like, just be careful. That's the best thing I can say. Because, like, and don't be afraid of it either. Like, people might come for you for something that you've said, like, but all you have to do is explain that you're coming from a good place, and most people will be nice about it. But it does help to be careful, or to be ahead of yourself. You know what I mean? To say, like I said, when it comes to the insects, like, oh, this is not representative of a complete diet. This is only what I'm feeding them on one meal. That, but, like, expand that to all situations. So, yeah. It can be a little bit tiring, I won't lie, but as long as you're doing something that makes you happy, then you're fine. Don't do it because you saw someone else do it, unless you think that you'd have fun doing it. And also, don't put pressure on yourself either. Don't, like, pick a day you want to upload, but if it doesn't happen that day, don't worry about it, post it another day. Like, people are really forgiving about that kind of stuff, so don't be hard on yourself for that. What's your opinion on the climate crisis as an environmental science student? I would love to know your views. Oh, I mean, like, as a bit of a cynical person, I'm kind of in the it's too late to do anything, like, meaningful camp. That said, I totally believe in doing as much as possible right now to curb what we are doing, and I am 100% on science's side. I don't believe that global warming and climate change is a political issue, that's stupid. Like, they'll believe scientists for some things, but not other things because it could hurt their industries. It's like, well, guess what? If it hurts your industries, that means it's bad for the environment. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If you're more worried about your industry than you are about the entire planet no longer being habitable for people, your priorities are in the wrong place. I'm 100% for going in the option of, or in the direction of, cleaning up the earth, cleaning up the atmosphere, holding companies accountable that continue to damage the earth just for the sake of profits and being lazy. Which is why I am voting blue, because I believe in fixing what we have here instead of ignoring science. But that's just my 2 cents on it. It boggles the mind that they can believe science in one point but not in another point just because it doesn't fit their worldview. It's nuts. Hello, do you like wine? I don't actually. I don't drink any alcohol. Many snakes, like milk snakes. Oh, cool. I like milk snakes. Hello. Do you still use a murky vapor bulb for beauties? I don't now, simply because I just wanted to try something new. I use the Arcadia 12% 5.0 T5 bulb, something like that. There's a lot of things to remember. But I included the link to it on the video where I showed my bearded dragon UVB. And then yeah, that's the UVB I use for both bearded dragons. 12% T5HO from Arcadia. And then I also bought the Arcadia fixtures, so that I was told that when you use the fixture that like the bulb is made from, it's better. So like the bulbs Arcadia, use an Arcadia fixture. What do you think about bioactive beardy tanks? I have been getting a lot of hate for mine. The reason I think for that is because there's not a lot of evidence that bearded dragon tanks are successful long-term bioactive. Successful long-term in terms of bioactivity. And that's simply because whereas in what we have right now works for a lot of species that have high humidity. Like springtails are really great for like a dart frog enclosure. And we have a lot of plants that dart frogs live with, right? Like we have access to those things. But like if you were to look at a bearded dragon's natural environment, the plants and the cleanup crew and microfauna and things like that would actually make it a true bearded dragon from Australia, bioactive, are not available in the United States or regularly anywhere. So you'd have to get native plants from that area. You'd have to get native substrate from that area. You'd have to get cleanup crew from that area. And the way that like things are broken down in arid, hot environments is much different than the way things are broken down in aquatic or warm, very humid environments. And so when I see people keeping like a lot of wood and a lot of like leaf litter and stuff for their bearded dragons, it's not quite the same. Like you can't set up a bearded dragon bioactive in the same way you'd set up like a bioactive for a dart frog or an African fat-tailed gecko or a fire skink or any species that have a higher humidity like index. That said, I don't know too much about arid bioactives. I'm still just trying out substrate for the first time with my arid species, so I definitely have to do more research, but from what I've seen other people say, it's just that arid bioactives are not that successful long term. How do you clean sanitize decor in your enclosures? So it depends. If nothing gets on it, like if there's no poop or anything that gets on it, I don't clean it. If it does get poop on it, usually if it's like a leopard gecko, I'll just brush the poop off. A lot of the things that I use are like naturalistic, like cork and driftwood. So you can let those clean the natural way, which basically is to like, you can scrub the poop part off, wet it, and then like leave it outside to dry. And sometimes people will even just like swap wood and cork out, and they will wash it, and then like naturally, like outside, they'll leave it out there to rain and to dry out in the sun like regular wood would be washed in nature. And then they'll put different cork and substrate, I'm sorry, different cork and wood in for the time being, and then just swap them out. However, most of the species that I keep that have nasty poops will poop on something, like my bearded dragons poop on tile, my lychee poops on the front of her enclosure. So when it comes down to those, I don't really have to clean anything that's like hard to clean, like a wood or a cork. If you got something that poops big poops, try and make sure it poops on something easy to clean, because cleaning driftwood, cleaning cork, cleaning poop out of like crevices, ugh, not fun. If you're looking to sanitize something because you used it for like quarantine, I wash things with dish soap. Like, I know people will be like, just use vinegar water. Nope, I'm sorry. If it's like a quarantine enclosure, it's getting dish soaped. If it's like a ceramic bowl, it's getting dish soaped. If it's something that can get washed with dish soap, it's getting washed with dish soap. And then of course I rinse it super well. But a lot of people will just use like a vinegar water solution because that's like safe for animals. And also vinegar is good for like removing smells from things. But reptiles don't really smell unless it's like a big reptile. I've been soaking stuff in bleach solution. Yeah, I hate bleach. So I mean, unless I'm bleach dyeing clothing. But I hate bleach otherwise, just because it's so strong smelling, and like the smell never, I feel like the smell like almost never goes away. What sub do you use of mealworms? What does that mean? How do you keep yourself motivated when it comes to YouTube videos? I've wanted to start doing educational videos for years now, but I find it hard to find motivation. I'm not like the best person to ask for that because I'm not super consistent, but this year in general has been really tough for that. Basically, well, part of the motivation for me right now is that like it's a source of income for me, and I don't have my job anymore, so that's a big motivator for me. But another thing is I like sharing knowledge. A big motivator for me is like, look what I'm doing. If this works for you, then that's great. And like, I also just like to hear back from other people about like what works for them, what didn't work for them. And I think part of it was because I saw so many bad, I don't want to say bad. I just saw so much like really not so great animal care, and not like on YouTube, I just mean in general. And I wanted to address it. Like, I wanted to have an outlet for people to like find a better source of information. And I'm not like the best source in the world, but like I have experience I'm happy to share with people. So like that was pretty much the motivation for me, is that like I just wanted to help people and like to see animals doing better than they were before. You know what I mean? To see someone who got really bad pet store information come across my care video and be like, oh my god, this is not what they told me, and then use what I said and then have more success. And I've gotten comments like that, and it's really fulfilling, and it makes me really happy. So that's how I'm motivated. Plus, I get paid for it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, a lot of YouTubers will be like, I do it because I love it. Like, and you also do it because you get paid. Like, just be real. And a lot of content that YouTubers will make is because it makes more money than other videos. I'm still trying to find that out for myself, personally. Like, a lot of, like, feeding videos and things like that, of course, make a lot of money. In comparison to, like, I don't know, a care video or a diet video. But those videos get the best views long term, because when someone does a Google search, then they pop up. Like, my care video pops up, so. I'm going to answer these last few questions and then I'm going to go, because I've been on for almost 2 hours and my throat is actually getting sore from talking so much. My hands are very, very angry. The bleach. Mealworm bedding. I use oats. Brand's another good option. My big brother is your biggest fan. He also has a leopard gecko. Oh, hello, Kaysen's big brother. His name is Leo. Oh, hello. Wait, is the human name Leo, or is the Leo name Leo? Hello, remember me? I think I do remember you, actually. Why does my Leo poop on the side of the enclosure? Because they like to poop. They like to poop in one spot, and wherever they choose, that's where they poop. For Amy, she poops on top of her wood, like right in the middle of it, all the way up here. I don't know how she does it, but that's what she does. Thank you so much for talking with us. Of course. If I don't upload a video, I like to do a live stream. Like, I like to have one or the other. That way, there's some sort of content I'm putting out, you know what I mean? Would floor tiling be okay for a leopard gecko on top of a heat pad in the enclosure? Yes, as long as you're still getting proper temperatures. Hi, Haley. I have commented on multiple of your videos because I love your videos. Thank you so much. The standard of care for reptiles is really depressing, and most people don't even know it isn't right. Yes, that is my world's struggle, my life's struggle. But hopefully, with more people posting care and information on YouTube, that changes. And the norm. I mean, to be fair, there are some people putting some bad information out there. Like, so that's problematic on its own. But the fact that there are other sources of information outside of just pet store, that's good. You know what I mean? That's a positive. The gecko's name is Leo. Oh, cool. I love your live streams. Thank you. I keep my worms in reptile bioactive soil. Okay, cool. I have gotten so much information and notes from your video, and your videos have convinced my parents to say yes to a Leo. Oh, that's so great. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, I'm gonna go, guys. If you have any more questions, drop them here. I'll answer really quick, but I am gonna go. Thank you so much for being here with me. I had a blast, even though my throat was starting to be sore. What time do you usually end up streaming? It'll usually be around like 3 o'clock. Typically is when I'd like to stream, 3 or 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And if I don't post a video on Mondays, I try to live stream on Mondays. And if I can't do it on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I typically don't live stream later in the week. But if you follow me on Instagram, or if you have my notifications turned on here on YouTube, you will know, because I'll always post on an Instagram stories before I go live, and I'll also, if you have notifications turned on here, then you'll be notified when I go live as well. He also has white street frogs. Oh, so cool. I love white street frogs. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to take off. See ya. You're the only live streamer that answers my questions. Oh, well, every time you're here, I will answer your questions. Oh, I just saw something that startled me. Okay, thank you all for being here. I will see you guys. Bye. Have a great day or great evening.